I want to start with the question. When was the last time you saw a man cry? Did it feel uncomfortable? Well, I remember the last time I cried. So I just graduated high school, top of my class, and I was gearing up for college applications. On paper, I had everything. I had the grades, the extracurriculars, and the writing skills to carry my essays. And so I went all in. IVs, mid-tier, safeties, you name them. I applied. In my head, the story was already written. I would get in, I'll move abroad, and I'll start a new life. But that was until the emails began to come in. NYU, Swarthmore, Cornell, and all of them said the same thing. Rejected, waitlisted, rejected. Over 15 schools I had applied to, and just a single acceptance. I was crushed. I remember staring at my laptop and just seeing the tears run down my face. But yet, in that intense moment, the loudest thought in my mind was to stop, was to quit crying, because men didn't cry. In fact, crying was the single most unmanly thing I could do in that moment. And so I wiped my tears, I shut it all down, and I moved on. Now looking back, I realized those thoughts, they weren't truly mine. They were inherited, absorbed from a world that has taught me again and again that vulnerability in men is weakness. But where does that leave the countless men who are struggling, yet feel they have no space to express it? Globally, fewer men are enrolling in college. Suicide rates amongst men are devastatingly high. And yet, to talk about men feels like walking the tightrope. Because what more could men ask for? We had all of history to create a world that served us. So what more could we possibly need now? But this isn't about men against women. History has indeed been unjust to our women, but its scars linger on men too. And so today I want to respectfully bring men into the conversation. Not in opposition to anyone, but as part of a shared struggle. What are the problems our men are facing, and how do we address them? How do we fix a society where men are falling through the cracks without turning this fight for equality into a tug of war? In 2021, the International Association for Suicide Prevention revealed a shocking statistic. Globally, a man was almost twice as likely as a woman to take his life. In the United States alone, a man was almost 4 times as likely as a woman to take his life. Now, the problem isn't the disproportion, but in the fact that each of these numbers represents fathers, brothers, sons, real people with real lives. But why? Why do so many men think taking their lives is the best way to cope? From the time they are young, men are taught to be strong. We are taught to toughen up. We are taught to man up. In the face of struggle, instead of opening up, we feel it makes us less of men. And so we bottle it up, we push it all in, and then we suffer silently. But here's the problem. Suffering silently never ever makes the pain go away. It only pushes it deeper until it can't. And when men reach that breaking point, instead of seeking therapy, instead of seeking help, or even just simply admitting to the world that I'm not okay, so many men turn to something else, whether it's to drugs, to alcohol. And too many, far too many, see no way out but to take their lives. Now, for generations, the message has been clear. Be strong, be the leader, and be the provider. That was the path. That was the purpose. Young men grew up knowing exactly where they fit in. But the world is changing. Women are achieving more independence. They are breaking barriers in politics, in business, in education. And that is progress. That is necessary. But so many men are left asking, so where do I belong now? Many men are feeling invisible. They are feeling valueless. And that's breeding an isolation that's only growing. 30 years ago, according to the May American Perspective Survey, 55% of men reported having at least 6 close friends. Today, that number has been cut in half. Roughly 1 in every 4 men reports having 6 or more close friends. More shockingly, 1 out of every 7 men that's 15%, report having no close friends at all. Now let's think about that for a moment. That means no one to call to celebrate victories with, no one to seek help from when stuff gets difficult. Just silence, just pure isolation. And what happens when people feel disconnected? They search for belonging. But unfortunately, our men are finding it in all the wrong spaces. Online spaces that do not build men up, but poison them. Communities built around gurus who promise guidance, but instead spread resentment. They teach men that feminism is to blame for their problems, that the world is inherently rigged against them. But these messages do not empower men. They trap them. They turn hate into hatred. And while some may find solace in these communities, many simply give up. Young men are falling behind women at all levels of education. The college enrollment is plummeting, with just about 40% of undergrads now being males. Young men are disengaging from work. But it's not just in work and in education, but it's from relationships, from friendships, from life itself. And so, what can you do? Well, you have more power than you think. Sometimes change does not need to come from grand gestures. Sometimes it's in the everyday moment. If you are in an environment where masculinity has been reduced to harmful stereotypes, speak up. Because let's be honest, we cannot create strong men by just shaming them out of their vulnerability. A culture that teaches men to suppress their emotions while celebrating aggression does not create strength. It creates brokenness. And so let's call out these destructive narratives. Let's have those difficult conversations. And let's speak up so that we can each create in our own little way a safe space where men can be safe. Now, to those with influence, the mentors, the educators, and the leaders, we need to rethink how we raise our men. We cannot wait until it's over before we try to fix things. We need to equip them from the start. And that means teaching them skills like self-awareness, like emotional communication, like empathy. These are the skills that bring strong men. We have to teach them emotional intelligence, that this is not just essential, but it is important to thriving in life. In doing so, we can build men who contribute, men who lead with kindness, and men who know how to build and not to destroy. And now finally, to us men, it doesn't always have to be about women or girls. Those conversations are important, but sometimes life gets tough. We all feel it, and yet to open up feels like the worst thing we could possibly do. No, man, it doesn't make us unmanly, but it only makes us human. And so let's take that bold step of becoming the safe spaces for ourselves first. Let's have those conversations. Let's invite people into the corners of our mind so that more often, honest conversations can replace surface level talk. So let this not just be another conversation we listen to and forget the moment we leave here. This is real. This is urgent. And it's fortunately something we have the power to change. And so the next time you see a man crying, do not shy away because it's cringe. Do not be pulled away because it's uncomfortable. Lean in. Ask him how he's feeling. And listen. Actually listen. So that you can be that brother, that friend, that ally who makes it safe for men to be human. Thank you.